So we have Jennie Jarvis nomination in the Best Fiction Film of 2025 for the film Connection. Congratulations, Jennie.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So we have a few questions for you. What made you go into filmmaking?
I actually came via theater, really. So I started acting in like my local community theater when I was like 5 years old. And I remember like I don't have a lot of memories from my youth, but I remember like when I was 5 years old, it was like one of these like summer camps that you like send your kids to just to get them out of your hair during summer.
Okay.
And I was only 5. They were doing a presentation of The Wizard of Oz. And when you're only 5 years old, the only role you can get is Toto, right? So I think I was like Toto number 2 or something. And I remember one of my very early memories is I had to bark at the cowardly lion. And I remember even at 5, I was like, you need to step forward. I have no reason to like bark at you if you don't, if you don't step forward. Like I need my motivation. And so from a very young age, I had this kind of intrinsic sense of, the cause and effect that goes into the basic building blocks of story. Um,
Mhm.
and so theater was a place where I could really explore that. And it was a kind of a fundamental thing that everybody needed to kind of have a sense of. Um, and then I got into a school of the arts where um, um, I kind of carved my own like directing major within the theater program. And that just kind of naturally transitioned into wanting to do film because as much as I loved theater, I've always been drawn to things that are more like fantasy and sci-fi. Um, and those don't really have as much of a place in theater. In theater, it's really more about, drama and interpersonal relationships, which I still very much focus on in my work. But I really kind of wanted to go a little bit bigger. I wanted to explore new worlds, and it was a little bit harder to do in theater than it is in film.
Okay, so you're an actress too, right?
Yes, well,
Okay.
sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes. I did a lot of acting in my youth. I did a lot of acting, but when it came to making Connection, which is very much a pandemic film, um, we shot the majority of that film on Zoom, actually. And I came from a very kind of traditional sense of filmmaking where it was like, well, if you're going to make a film, you need a camera and you need lights and you need a crew. But then I saw a British television show called Staged. And it was David Tennant, Michael Sheen, and they shot the whole thing over Zoom over the pandemic. And it was like a pandemic comedy. And I was itching to make something. I was going crazy like the rest of the world. And I saw that and I was like, well, I have access to Zoom. I can do Zoom. And so I reached out to my friend Bill, who, he was a really good friend of mine in middle school. And when I wrote this kind of short script for Connection, I had Bill in mind for making it. And so I shot it in Orlando. And I shot my side in Orlando. He shot his side he was living just outside of Baltimore. And then like my visual effects were done like in Malta. So, it's very much a pandemic kind of style film where we were just we're all in our own little corners of the world making this film. Yeah.
That's so great. And you were great
Yeah.
in it as well. So
Well,
congrats
thank
for
you.
so
Yeah,
it's
because
really
yeah, and to circle back, I realized I didn't actually address your question, but yeah, so when I'm making it on my own and it's like me and my computer, yeah, I needed to be the actor in it because, lockdown.
so all that background was very useful for you for sure.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, very much so. And I do love acting still, but my heart is very much kind of in the storytelling aspects of directing is where I mostly focus on now, directing and writing.
And what messages do you want to transmit during your career as a filmmaker?
Um, for me, I always love to look at the world from the secondary character. Um, like so many like big Hollywood films, it's like if you're going to look at something that takes place on a spaceship, right? You're looking at the captain, you're looking at the engineer, you're looking at the heads of departments. I want to know about the person that's like in cabin number 8032,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I want to look at the big kind of these big events from secondary characters, because I feel like that is where we as human beings often see ourselves, right? So when there is some kind of massive world event, we're not, the leaders in charge. We're the secondary people that kind of get shoved to the corner, and we're the red shirts. We're the people that most people don't think about. We're the extras. And for me, I feel like those stories really matter. And I love to look at films about the human relationships of people going through trauma, but not like necessarily the people who cause the trauma. It's the secondary people that are responding to that. And I don't necessarily have like a message other than our stories are worth hearing, right? The quiet people, the people in the corner, the people who don't necessarily, lead the revolution, their stories are worth hearing as well. Especially, I love to kind of play with stories where you have either absent parents or kind of bad parents, I guess is the way of saying, like irresponsible parents. I love looking at that and looking at how we as individuals, we oftentimes need to make sure that we are taking charge of our own story and we are taking our own agency, right? So like in Connection, there's a character who is very much like in a precarious situation, and she is taking advantage of the resources she has available to her, which are not many, in order to try to better her life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that all of us need to do. Like we may not have access to all the money and all the equipment and all the this and all the that, but we have to take charge of our life in whatever way that means.
Mm-hmm. And we
Yeah,
can identify more with those kind of characters for sure.
I
So
think so. Yeah, I
yeah,
believe so. I absolutely believe so.
yeah, that makes it more realistic as well.
Hmm. Yes, yeah.
And where can we follow you, Jenny? Do you have a website?
I do. It's www.jenniejarvis, and it's JENNIE, not a Y, but an IE, and then
Yeah.
Jarvis, just like an Iron Man.com. And you do have to put the www in front of it. It's just the platform that I made it on. Like you can't just write Jennie Jarvis. You have to write www.jenniejarvis.com. You
Okay.
can also find me on IMDb. And then on all the social media channels, I'm at Jarvis Writes. So you look on Instagram or Blue Sky or Facebook, and you can find me at Jarvis Writes.
All right, great. So I'll put some of the links underneath the YouTube
Yeah,
interview, and then I'll send you the YouTube interview so you can share it with the
excellent.
world. All right,
Sounds
great.
great.
Thank you so much again for being here today, and we'll keep you
Yeah.
updated about the screenings that will take place on May the 22nd. So we're still selecting the films,
Yeah.
and we'll keep you updated about the prizes as well. And
Okay.
that's about it for now. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was wonderful talking to you, and I love your accent.
Thank you.
My mom was born and raised in Granby, and she just
um,
passed away in November. So the French Canadian
oh,
accent is one I very much love. So I'm very happy to hear your accent.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again, and thank you for the great film. Of course, we really enjoyed it. So keep creating as well.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. So we'll talk soon. Have a nice rest of the day.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Have a wonderful day
Thank you.
and a great
You too.
weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye bye.